When I think about goals, like you were saying, Matt, it's sometimes unattainable or it feels not real. And then all the ways to do it is your strategy. There's so many different ways to do it. It's just picking a strategy. And if that doesn't work, try a different one. And that's okay. It doesn't mean your goal's bad. It just means your strategy might not be working for you.
Welcome to the Boise REIN Show, your destination for creating wealth through connections in real estate and business. Are you looking to become a real estate professional? Do you want to start your own successful real estate business? Well, I'm your host, Matt Osanicki. Join us as we learn from the brightest minds, industry leaders, and experienced professionals, equipping you with the knowledge and confidence needed to make informed decisions and thrive in the ever-changing real estate landscape. Your journey starts now. Welcome back to the Boise REIN Show, the place where investors and entrepreneurs come together to learn and grow from the best. And I can't think of anybody else that I'd rather have on the show today to learn about goal setting and mindset than Amanda Rockrohr herself. She's the host of the Invest Her meetups. She's very involved in groups around Boise and the organizations that we have here. And I'm just very excited for you guys to hear her story and what we can learn from the steps and the actions she has taken. So without further ado, Amanda Rockrohr, thank you so much for being on today's show. We're very excited to have you. Can you get our audience, a little up to speed about who you are, where you came from, and why you're here today?
Sure. Hi, Matt. Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Rockrohr. I am a Boise native. I was born and raised here. I went to Mountain View High School, so shout out to the Mavericks. And then I went to college at Boise State. So pretty much had that timeline of went to high school, got an education, got my undergrad in political science, which I don't think a lot of people knew that about me, but I wanted to be able to create change. And I understood that in order to do that, I had to be a part of the system to blow up the system. Then found out that was probably not what I wanted to do, but I was really, really involved in college. I was in a sorority. I was in the student government there, held a lot of leadership positions and really enjoyed that. I had a lot of mentors who were like, you should do this as a career. And so I went and got my master's in higher education and student affairs to kind of follow that career. My family was really proud of me. They really loved it because they're both immigrants. And so they really, truly believed in the idea of education and getting your degree. That was the way to do things. And then you get a W-2, you get a good job, and that's what you do. You stay the course. And so I made my parents really, really proud and did that and moved back to Boise eventually after graduating and working a couple careers in other universities. And then found my love and we had kids. And from there, that kind of started our real estate journey because it started making me realize that I didn't really want to be tied down to something. I was getting really burnt out in my career. I worked with students. I love them, but there are a lot of work when it comes to just the whole student development because I was living with them. So I got to see their good and their bad days. And so then real estate was the thing that kind of opened my eyes into another world of entrepreneurship. So quick and speedy.
That was quick and speedy, but man, I got a lot of information from that. Let's break that down a little bit more because everybody has a story to tell. Yeah. And that was an amazing story that you told in a minute. But everybody has these, they can look back on their life where they came from, but it's hard to look forward and see where you want to go. And that's why in today's episode, we're going to be talking about goal setting. So let's break that down a little bit because when we're in high school, we get to college, like we have this grandiose future that we are envisioning ourselves being, one day we're going to wake up, we're going to be 40 and we're going to look around, we're going to say, I made it.
Yes.
But that doesn't happen in real life. You have to put the work and effort into it, just like going to college, getting your degree and applying for jobs, So how did your mindset shift from I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get a degree, I'm going to work in higher education to this isn't for me, I'm getting burnt out and I need to try something new. Yeah. Can you talk about that mindset a little bit?
Yeah, honestly, I think for a lot of us, you don't know another mindset because my parents, they told me like, this is the way you're supposed to do things. And like they made a lot of sacrifices leaving their country to come here and start a new life. And so for me, I felt a lot of obligation to that. And so I really stuck to the script, went to school, got a job, got a good job. And then when I met my husband, he's an entrepreneur. He's a small business owner. And so seeing him live his life, I think it was just kind of giving me glimpses of what that could look like. And for the longest time, I thought it was just the wrong way to live. And I was like, why would you want to own your own business? Because my parents owned their own business and I saw a lot of friction from that. And so seeing my husband do it, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But then I started to pay attention once I got burnt out and seeing that there's other ways to live your life and that there's a lot more control that you can have in your own daily life. And so that's where it started to shift. And that happened during COVID, because COVID opened the doors for us to work at home. And that made me realize, oh, I can work from home and still get a lot done. Oh, I don't have to be working for someone else. Oh, I can have more time with my children. I kind of like that. And even if I'm not making as much, at least I have more control of my own destiny and my own day to day.
Yeah, that's incredible. Being an entrepreneur, doing something for yourself, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
There's no roadmap that they can teach you in school that says, hey, do these things and you're going to become a multimillionaire. You're going to be the next Elon Musk.
Yeah.
There's nothing that exists out there that can do that. You have to take the action yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to shift that mindset. Going from a rigid mindset to an abundance mindset of saying, hey, I go to school for the next 4 years, I get a job earning $60,000 a year, versus an abundance mindset of, hey, I've got all this time I can work for myself. I'm going to take actions. It's going to be a long process, but you start taking that vision from working a day at a time
Yes.
to working months at a time to working years at a time.
Yes.
And that's where the biggest difference is come from. And you and I know that more than anything. We started this journey together back in 2020, and here we are 3 years later looking back on what we've accomplished because we've taken those actions.
Yeah. There's a little bit of like trusting the process as well. Like I remember, like when you go to school, when you graduate high school, people are like, go to college and then you get that degree and you're supposed to get that job. So there's like a map that you're hoping will guide you to where you need to be. When you become an entrepreneur, there's no maps, and it's very much getting lost, trial and error. And so you have to trust the process that if you are putting effort and work into it every day, that eventually you're going to get something from it, but it might not be in 6 months, it might not be a year, it might not be 3 years. And so I think when we first bought our first rent, we just went to Mountain Home just yesterday to look at our first property. And it's just so crazy to think, like when we bought it, we were so scared. It was cash flowing, but we poured a lot of money into fixing it. We made a lot of mistakes. We did a lot of the work ourselves. And now it's one of our best performing properties 3 years later. And I just laugh because I would have not thought that would be our pride and joy property, but it's just something that we were really proud of. And we know that we did the work.
It's easy to look back and say, wow, what an awesome decision we made. Yeah. We were so smart. We knew exactly what to do. But in the moment, you're nervous, you're afraid. Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
And more importantly, there are people telling you, Amanda, what are you doing?
You're crazy.
Your family is telling you you're crazy. Your friends are telling you this is a stupid decision. You should come back to work.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk a little bit about that because my experience, it's all come down to who I surround myself with.
Mm-hmm.
I could surround myself with the naysayers and the people who say that you can't do it and it can never be done. Or I could find those people who have the same goals as me, the same vision, who are going to uplift me and take me to new heights that I've never seen before. So one quote that I often hear is like, you'll never hear a millionaire telling somebody you should never start your own business or be an entrepreneur. You'll never hear a professional basketball player saying you're practicing too much.
Yeah.
You'll never hear those mindset of people talk bad about what we're doing right now. It's the naysayers that know that they should do it.
Yeah.
And they never do. They never take action.
Because it is scary.
Yeah, it is.
You have to trust the process. You have to trust yourself. And it's a journey about not just relying on other people. There's a lot of internal work that you have to do to get there.
Yep.
And it starts in the mind.
You're not showing up every day doing nothing and collecting a paycheck.
Yeah.
The paycheck you get is the amount of effort you put in.
Yeah.
So speaking of hard work, let's talk about goal setting so that way we can make a roadmap to the future. Because if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there.
No.
All right. So for me, I have the 6 F's of life in goal setting for me. It's family, friends, fitness, finance, faith, and freedom, or mindset, if you will, for faith. Okay. Can you help break down some of these structures and goal setting when it comes to your own life and things that you've done to help grow your future?
Yeah. I will say goal setting is like a muscle. And so you have to continually do it to get it stronger. It's not easy to just be like, oh, I'm going to start setting goals. You're like, okay, where do I start? And so just know that you just got to start somewhere. And it's at each year you start setting your goals, you get better and better almost because you get clearer and clearer about what you want. And so I remember when Dan and I did our first goal setting, this is when I just moved back to Boise. We were not in real estate at all, but we just sat down and we said, I was like, we should set some goals about what we want because I wanted to leave I wanted to get married and I wanted to leave our duplex that we were living in. And so I was like, the only way to get him thinking about those things was let's just goals. And so we sat down 5 things in 5 years. What did we want? And we just literally wrote it. I wrote mine and he wrote his, and we had a conversation about it. And that was it. That was our goal setting. And then when we started real estate, I worked for a university, so there was a lot of goal settings that was happening already. And so when I sat down with him, we had this Excel sheet. It was pretty comprehensive. And we just said, okay, in the next 10 years, let's work backwards. Like, how many properties do we want? How many flips at that time we wanted to do flips? How much money did we want? We just kind of like pulled it out of somewhere and just spent a good 3 hours at night trying to figure it out. And then from there, I think we leaned more towards what you were doing, is start looking more holistically at ourselves, not just the money we wanted to make. We started thinking more about our personal goals and our business goals and our goals with our relationship, not just ourselves, but me and Dan, my partner, our kids, our family. And so it's grown more into looking more like yours, of looking at those different aspects of our lives and saying, okay, this year I want to pour a little bit more of this into, and so I'm going to focus some of my goals in that. I am kind of a recovering multitasker. So you'll hear me, if you ever talk to me, you'll hear me talk about The One Thing. It's a book by Gary Keller, and I forgot Jay Papasan, if I'm saying that correctly. And they talk a little bit about focusing your goals, not just having so many different things you're focusing on, because then you end up not doing anything. And so I've transformed into, okay, once I figured out an area of my life that I really want to focus on and finding a goal, that's the area for that year or maybe couple years that I'm going to kind of just spend some more time doing.
Yeah. You know what? Let's work through an exercise right now,
Sure,
real quick, because I think this is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you listening about goal setting and trying to, why should I take time to think about this? Why should I take time to plan my future? I'll never achieve like these high expectation goals, because goals are not tasks.
Yeah.
Goals are something that like they're long term, that you want to achieve, that feel impossible in the moment.
Yes.
And what I have to say is this: it's not about achieving the goal. It's about becoming the person who is going to set out to do those goals. And just a quick example, like if you're in fitness, it's not about becoming the strongest person. It's about becoming somebody who works out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about becoming the richest person in real estate. It's about becoming somebody who enjoys real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So let's work through this a little
Cool.
bit. In your specific, in your life, just give us some of your examples. So when it comes to goal setting, you talked about The One Thing. They talk about your someday goals. That's like the ultimate goals. And we kind of back plan from there. So could you give us an example of what may be a someday goal for you?
So this is not real estate related. This is more fun, but I want to be like one of the best Latin dancers in Boise. That's something that I really want to do one day. That's a huge goal.
Yes.
And something I really enjoy doing, but that would be an example.
That's a someday goal. Okay,
Yep.
so let's break that down into a 10-year goal.
Yep.
So 10 years from now, you want to achieve that someday goal. What's one thing that you could do over the course of the next 10 years that's going to achieve that Latin dancer?
Yeah. So for me, I would think, okay, in order to be someone who's a really good dancer, you're going to have to be dancing a lot. And so probably there's these conferences that you can go to for dancing. So I'd probably want to attend like maybe 5 of those conference dances so that I know that I'm always constantly training, always practicing, and always learning.
Okay.
So maybe 5 conferences for salsa dancing or Latin dancing.
In the next 10 years?
Yes.
Okay. And then they break it down into 5 years. Okay. So you're doing 5 conferences and practices in the next 10 years to achieve the best Latin dancer in Boise.
Yep.
What can you do in the next 5 years that's going to help you attain going to those conferences?
So they're in dancing, there's performances as well. And so I would probably want to do some performances every single year to lead me to those conferences.
Okay. So do a performance every year for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order to do those performances, you have to get better at dancing.
Exactly.
So what can you do this year to get better at dancing?
So I'd have to go to lessons. And so I can get private lessons. And I can attend a weekly lesson. That could be an example. Or I can go social dance. So there's always dancing everywhere. And so I would just plan a social dance every week or twice a month or something like that.
And then I'll give you the last example because I think you're on the great path. So if I needed to take action today, that's going to get me to my 1-year goals, which is going to lead me to my 5-year, 10-year, and someday goals. Today, I need to schedule and plan all my practices for this year.
Yes.
I can take one full day, plan them all out, do all the thinking right now so that I can take action for the next 365 days.
Yep, I love that. It's called time blocking.
It's called time blocking.
If you're not doing time blocking, you should at least consider it for different parts of your life. You don't have to time block everything, but I'm a big, huge proponent of time blocking for stuff.
This show would not be possible without the support from our local community. Because of you, we're able to share information from leading professionals like never before. That's why our sponsors at Boise Turnkey Investments and Your Stay B&B have teamed up with the Boise REIN Show. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, they help bring you all the insider information to get you started on your journey today. Back to the show. Yeah. So that's how you set a someday goal. We gave a great example. How do you come up with a someday goal to begin with? What's the why driven behind it?
Yeah, I like to do this activity with a lot of people is just like picture yourself in the future. So it's called visualization. So you hear a lot of athletes doing it right before a game. They'll sit down, they'll close their eyes, and they'll picture themselves playing the game, doing the winning shot or doing a big move. They'll just kind of think about it. And so I kind of like to do that with all types of my goals. So if you're thinking about your business, if you close your eyes and you think 10 years from now, what would you want a newspaper to write about your business? Write that out. And then that is kind of your future plan. And then that helps you create your someday goal, because your someday goal should be hard. It should be really almost unrealistic for you. When you think about it, you're like, oh, I kind of have a sinking feeling. I don't know how I'm ever going to achieve that. But if you make it too easy, then it's not a big enough goal for yourself.
Exactly. Goals are meant to be unattainable.
Yeah.
So that you can work towards it.
Yep.
So what Amanda is talking about right now with the newspaper, if any of you guys want an example of this, Brandon Turner he walks through how he did his newspaper clipping.
Yep.
It's fantastic. I personally have done it.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it for our goals couple setting retreat. We wrote a newspaper for that.
Yep.
And it's incredible what your mind will think of when you're not tied down to I can or I can't do something.
Yeah, the hows, like the little steps, because you're like, oh, well, how am I going to make this happen? You're just dreaming. You're just daydreaming and having just picturing it, what would be like, feel like, maybe even just visual. I like to do also like the 5 senses when you're visualizing things. You're like, okay, what do I see? What do I smell? What can I touch? Like using that activity as a way to picture your goals is a great way.
Yeah. This may seem cheesy. It may seem like, oh, I'm not going to get anything done if I'm just doing this thing, because thinking is the hardest thing to do. Henry Ford said the hardest job there is thinking. Mm-hmm. That's why he spent so much time doing it. If you're just going to row your ship all day, you may as well just be rowing in a circle. Mm-hmm. There's at some points you have to steer so you can get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
You said you had 2 more examples?
Yeah, if you were trying to practice visualization, another activity you can do is write a letter to your future self of saying like, dear Amanda, in 10 years, you're going to be this years old and you're going to have this many kids and you're going to be making this much. And you can start writing a letter to yourself. What I love about that one is you can reread that in 5 years and see like where your mindset was. Or you can always, the things that I love about like writing a letter to yourself or doing the newsletter thing is you can actually put it up somewhere and you can see it. And another one a lot of people do, if you're more crafty or tangible learner, is the vision board. Get a bunch of magazines, cut them up, and just whatever resonates with you. You might not even know what it means to you at that moment, but you're going to put it up and you see it every day. It's going to put your mindset in a place where you can start picturing and bigger things and better things.
I love that. Now, speaking of mindset and visualization, I want to talk about environment now.
Yes.
Because I could be thinking of something while I'm working or at a job or baling hay or just doing something that's just a monotonous task. My mind just floats and wanders. When I am writing a paper, I'm just like focused on the paper. For us, we do the couples goal setting retreat as well. And we remove ourselves from any normal environment or routine that we're in. Mm-hmm. Do you have something for you that works best? Like, do you like going on top of a hill? Do you like going to a coffee shop? How does that environment look for you?
So my husband and I also do like a couples retreat, just the 2 of us. So we go away. The first year we couldn't afford too much, so we went to a hotel. And then the next year we went to, this was last year, we went to a cabin up in Idaho City, sorry. And I feel like removing ourselves from environment, because when you're doing it at home, especially you're an entrepreneur, you're probably answering phone calls, you're probably trying to take out fires. And when you take yourself into a different place, your brain just does something different. I love going somewhere with nature, because I feel like nature just does something different to us and we can disconnect a little bit from technology.
And put the phone away.
Yes. Yeah.
Put an auto reply in your emails. Hey, sorry, get back to you in a couple days.
Yep.
And focus on you, because this is the most important task, is steering your ship.
Yep.
You have to make sure you're on the right course.
Sorry about that. That's why a lot of business corporations will do business retreats somewhere else outside of their business. So why not do the same thing for your own personal goals, is to disconnect from your day-to-day of living at your house and go plan some goals and do some fun stuff.
Could not agree more. From someone who's taken action and has physically done that myself, it makes the world a difference.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. It's a must. It's a requirement.
Yeah.
So for any of you out there who are wondering or would like to do this yourself, I know me personally, I've used the onething.com, I believe it is.
Yep.
There's no plug or anything. It just really works. And this is what we framed our couples goal retreat on. Go to the One Thing. They've got a lot of free resources.
Yep.
And there's one packet in there specifically that will outline an entire weekend for you.
Yep.
So it'll take you Friday night, all day Saturday, and most of Sunday.
Yep.
And if you and your spouse, or maybe you and some friends, want to actually take some action and go and do this thing, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And in those free resources, so you have the packet that will structure your weekend. Then you have another packet that will go over goal setting. And that's what we talked about earlier. Someday goals, 10-year, 5-year, 1 year, and monthly and daily.
Mm-hmm.
So highly recommend breaking that down if any of you guys are interested.
Yeah.
So speaking of structure and getting goals written down and looking to the future, are there things you're working on right now that are going towards goal setting?
Yeah. So in the next couple of weeks, if you are in the Boise area, we are going to be running a workshop around mindset and goal setting. So it's called Mindset Matters, trying to achieve your goals. And I'm going to be teaming up with Shannon Robnett. So kind of crazy introduction with him, how I met him. If you don't know him, he's a big real estate business owner here in our Treasure Valley area. And I run this accountability group for other couples who are building a business. And I was, again, goal setting. I'm planning a mid-year goal check-in for them. And I thought it would be a really good idea to bring in a coach, someone who can kind of help us see outside of ourselves a little bit, because all of us have been spending so much time together. We really know each other. We really start to know the business. So we start having our blinders on. And so I invited Shannon to come in, and that's how our connection happened. And he is such a huge mindset guru almost, and he's been doing business and real estate for a long time. So I think he can see a little bit for those who are newer like us. Like, we're such in the trenches and we don't always see big picture because we just haven't experienced enough. So pulling him in, we're going to be duoing a workshop together where he'll spend a good time talking about mindset, and I'll be talking about the goal setting side. So giving you more of the tangible pieces of how do you get out of your mind once you do, how do you actually get it on paper and start taking action into yourself. So that's going to be November 14th, and there's going to be registration. Reach out to us, or if you look up Boise REIN, you're going to obviously see the event and you'll be able to register for it.
Yeah, that's great. Now, I know not everyone is going to be able to make
Yep.
it. They might have something going on. Hopefully, maybe they can catch you on the next time you have one.
Yes.
But for those who aren't ready for that step yet, that big of a step, you can always do it yourself. So Amanda and I, we've been doing it ourselves for over a year now, haven't we, with our accountability group?
Yeah, a year plus. Yeah, a little
year
bit.
plus.
Yep.
We've come a long way.
Yep. So my husband and I, just kind of a little backstory for everybody. My husband and I run a couples real estate investing meetup. From there, we realized that there was a lot of couples doing the same things and needing extra support. And when we were creating our goals for the longest time, we were just doing it on our own. And we realized that we needed some more accountability. And so when we were running these meetups, we met other couples who were running into the same thing. And that's what led into this accountability group. So whoever's listening, if you're doing goal setting, kind of start attaching your next level would be finding accountability, because if you say once you start writing it, it's gonna increase the chance of it coming true. The next step is telling somebody about it, because now you're gonna have that extra credibility. I don't know the exact percentage, but it increases it by a ton that it's actually gonna happen.
Yeah, because we are ultimately trying to become that person who would achieve those goals.
Yep.
Not just trying to conquer the thing or go over the finish line. Life is a game. There is no finish. There's no end game. You keep going. So creating that mindset around it and having others to support you can definitely make that journey a lot easier.
Yeah. I listened to Ed Milet. He's a podcaster, and he was talking about how our mindsets are like thermostats. Essentially, if you're at a 60 degree and then let's just say you start making a lot of money and you increase your thermostat to 100, but what a thermostat does is it re-regulates you right back so you're at 100 now, but then it takes you back to 60 because our mindsets are going to take us back to that space. So in order for us to be able to manage all that money and get back to that 100, we need to increase our mindset. I just love that kind of analogy about like mindset and why you should always be working on it. Don't stop listening to the podcast. Don't stop surrounding yourself with people who are thinking bigger and better than you, because you're going to constantly go back to your thermostat to the 60. And so you got to increase it by being around the people that you want to be and learning about the things that you want to learn.
Yeah, there's no such thing as graduating college and now you're done learning.
No.
You have to be lifelong learners if you want to be an investor, an entrepreneur. If you want to go out and make difference in your community, you have to invest in yourself first.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get back to the 5 F's of goal setting, because if you're just starting out, that's a great platform structure to begin with, because there's so many goals that you can make. You could do one goal for each of those.
Yep.
So can you just give us some examples of what you would do for these 6 F's? So let's talk about family. What's one goal that you could set for your family?
So one of mine this past year was spending more, it's called like the 10-minute miracle time with their kids. So that was one of them, was like every day spend 10 minutes with each kid.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You're holding yourself to that goal and guaranteeing that you are going to spend time with your family because that's who you want to be as a person.
Yes.
I love that. Let's talk about friends. What's a friend goal that you have in mind?
One of them was like do a yearly trip with my good friends that don't live near me. And so that would be one.
We can get caught up in working all day, every day, on the weekends, and time will just go by so fast and we won't even know it.
Yep.
So to plan that ahead of time and to make time for you and your friends, that's a game changer.
And as people get older, like it's harder to get everybody together. And so you do need a year to plan if you're especially going to be traveling somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Especially for that one friend that you really just have to get on. Come on, we've been planning this for a year.
Are you coming or you're not?
Right? Yes. Okay, let's talk fitness.
Yeah, so this is a big one for me. And this is, if you follow my husband and I on Instagram or anything, you'll see us cold plunging. And that has transformed. We were doing 1 a week, but now we're up to 3 a week. Plunging in the river.
Yeah, I would say some people might call you guys the cold plunging investors.
Oh, I like that tag name. Yeah. I'll take it.
I love it. All right, let's talk about finance.
Our biggest one was to increase our net take in from our different businesses $5,000 extra from what we were making.
Okay.
So a month.
I love this, and I'm going to just break this down a little because a goal like that is so important because there's so many little steps you can take to get to there.
Yep.
Am I going to save money over here? Am I going to earn more money here?
Mm-hmm.
It's insane how coming up with one specific goal can lead to so many actionable items that you can take.
Yeah.
I love that.
When I think about goals, like you were saying, Matt, it's sometimes unattainable or it feels not real. And then all the ways to do it is your strategy. There's so many different ways to do it. It's just picking a strategy. And if that doesn't work, try a different one. And that's okay. It doesn't mean your goal's bad. It just means your strategy might not be working for you.
I love that. And I'll go back to the clay pot analogy. They did a study. They gave to a college class. And one group of students, they had the entire semester to perfect one clay pot.
Oh.
And then the other group had the entire semester to create as many pots as they possibly could. And at the end of the semester, the best pot came out of the thousands of pots that this group was making because they had time to make mistakes and perfect their craft and to continue to make what ultimately became better than just one person only trying one time, one way, one thing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, I love that story.
All right, so we talked about finance. Let's talk about faith or mindset.
I actually been doing a lot of mindset work and trying to get a mindset coach or some sort of mentor or somebody to kind of help me work through some of the stuff that my old mindset. So that would be probably my goal, is to get a mindset coach.
Okay, nice. We talk about who you surround yourself with is who's going to take you to the next levels, and you have to keep educating yourself and investing in yourself into the future. So I love that goal. And then the last one, freedom. It's like why we're all here in the first place, right? Tell me a freedom goal you might have.
This kind of combines with my husband and I. We love our date nights. And so being able to have that freedom to do that, we have actually day dates because we have the ability to be able to create a date in the middle of the day, where when I used to work at W-2, we couldn't do that. And so that is one thing, is to have a day date every biweekly, essentially.
That's incredible.
Yep.
You're going towards the future with your business. You're becoming a great entrepreneur. And you're making time for friends and family.
Yep.
I don't know how it gets any better than that.
I feel like that's the well-rounded life, right? If you focus too much on the financial side, then like there's going to be this unbalance. Like when are you really going to enjoy time with your family or things that you care about? So I love that you look at it more holistically.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to sacrifice the other things to do one thing.
Yeah.
But you guys are taking a professional approach to your life and where you want to go.
Yeah.
And this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Goal setting.
Yeah. I just remembered one thing that I wanted to mention, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of personality tests out there. And I think when people start goal setting, it always happens the 1st of January, right? You're like, I need to set goals and I'm going to go like full send on it. And then you lose track and you forget about it. I really think if you're starting to set your goals, kind of going back to the mindset, is like really start to understand who you are as a person and see what your personality is like. So for example, my husband and I talk about the 4 tendencies. If you don't know that book, it's by Gretchen Rubin. It's a book that kind of breaks you up into 4 different personalities. And my husband and I are kind of opposites. And one of the personalities is called an upholder, which is essentially someone who, like, if you set a goal, you're probably going to achieve that goal with not a lot of external support. You're just very internally motivated. But sometimes you can overset goals and then you burn out. And then my husband, he is very much a questioner. He really needs to understand why he's taking in that goal and really make it a part of his identity, or he will not adopt that goal. So whenever you're setting your goals, really think about yourself. You're like, why am I taking on this goal, or why am I wanting to make more money, or why do I want to spend more time with this person versus my family? And set those goals around that, because if you don't start to question, you're going to lose sight of your goals. It's not going to be a good enough goal.
I like that. And also why I think it's so important to do this with your couple or your spouse, for those, is that you figure out what goals you have that you share a commonality with.
Yeah.
And instead of both of you trying to do the same thing to achieve the goal, you can then break it apart into separate pieces and leverage each other's strengths.
Yeah.
Dan's a questioner. You're a go-getter. Like, you guys can leverage what you guys do well to achieve the same goal, which ultimately, in my experience, has brought me and my wife closer together, and a lot of the people that I talk to closer together.
Yeah.
You become a team, a cohesive unit.
Yeah. I think as I'm getting older and I think about goal setting, I'm thinking a lot about my own personal strengths and what I like to do. And I'm trying to lean into those things versus, like, I think maybe a couple years ago, I was thinking more about my husband, or I was thinking more about my family or my W-2 job of what they want me to achieve. So I was creating these goals that maybe that I was going along with, but they were not really my personal why. And as I get older, I start to think about, how can I nurture my nature, essentially, and make my goals a part of who I am, so that really I'm going to achieve the best goals because they're perfectly for me.
Yeah.
So.
I love that. And tell your goals to everybody.
Yep.
You never know what the universe is going to bring back.
Yep. Someone can help you achieve your goals in some way, and you never know who it's going to be.
You'll always go farther together.
Yeah.
All right, Amanda, thank you so much for coming on today. But before I let you go, the Boise REIN Show, we need one more actionable item from you. So what is one thing that our listeners can do today, one actionable item they can do that will help them achieve their goals tomorrow? Yeah.
So in the spirit of goal setting, write down your goals and put it somewhere where you can see it every day. That would be a good start. And if you've already done that, find somebody and make an accountability buddy, essentially. Tell them what your goals are and have them call you weekly. Do whatever you need to do to have them checking in on you.
I love that. If you guys don't have anything, get a whiteboard. I like whiteboards too.
To the whiteboard.
Yes. All right. Thanks again, Amanda. If somebody wanted to reach out and get in contact with you, where can they reach out to you at?
So I'm very active on Instagram. So if you just put my name, Amanda Rockrohr, Rockrohr 23, that's how you find me.
Awesome. Well, Amanda, thanks for being on here today, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Pat. Bye, Boise REIN.
See ya.